It's past the hour of 7 and you're still watching Sunrise at Sea. You're just in time for your wellness and lifestyle segment. And this morning we're going to be talking about the bipolar disorder. Now, every year on the 30th of March, the world celebrates the International Bipolar Day. And actually how this came about is on the birthday of Dutch painter, that is Vincent van Gogh, who was one of the most influential artists in the history of Western art. Now, his creativity paralleled with his mental illness, and he was diagnosed with a bipolar disorder. Well, World Bipolar Day educates and promotes the spread of information on bipolar disorder through international collaborative effects, and that is what we are going to be discussing this morning. But joining me on the sit-down discussion is none other than Angela Nsimbi, and she is an award-winning journalist, mental health activist, mindset coach, speaker, worshipper, entrepreneur, mother of 5 lovely children. What an amazing biography, and I'm glad that Angela is joining us this morning to have a conversation about the bipolar disorder. Good morning, Angela, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Shivan? I'm
fine.
so happy to be here.
I can see you're very passionate when it comes to mental health, especially when it comes to the bipolar disorder, because this is something we have not really adopted in our African culture.
Why I'm very passionate, it is a personal thing. It's really personal.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've walked the journey. So it's not like I read a book or a textbook. I've gone through it. So it is something close to my heart.
Okay, so Angela, I'm going to first of all give you the opportunity to share with us your story, your journey with the bipolar disorder from the time when you were diagnosed and how you were able to beat it.
From the time I was diagnosed, okay, maybe I talk about shortly before I was diagnosed. Yes. I just found myself experiencing rapid speech. And with rapid speech, I was talking non-stop. I was not able to sleep for a long while, you know. And then I began to lose interest in stuff I used to love doing. And I began to lose weight rapidly, much as I would eat. But I guess you feel so stressed, you lose the weight. And I was paranoid, you know, thinking people want to harm me. That paranoia was there all the time. And I was also hearing voices. That is another part of it. So obviously, when I knew there is a problem, you just don't know what is happening to you. I found myself speaking rapidly. I was awake for longer. I was no longer interested in my work because professionally I'm a journalist, and I just didn't want to work anymore. I preferred to be in familiar space, and that's when I had to go to hospital to be checked out, because at that time I had just, my youngest baby was 9 months, so I had to go for care, and that's when that was 2009. That's when I was diagnosed and put on medication.
So did you receive any sort of stigma from the people around you while in that time?
During that time, I could say the stigma was maybe during care, because there's one doctor who intimidated me. I don't know, you know, sometimes they think everybody's going to fight them. So I remember the doctor intimidating you, better comply, otherwise, it'll kind of instilling fear in me.
Yes.
And for me, in my mind, I'm thinking, you're going to treat me, no big deal, I'm not going to resist you. But I never connected with that doctor because she approached me with a sense of intimidation.
Okay.
And then another incident was with a nurse, because, you know, when you go to hospital, you have kind of like a counseling session with your psychiatrist. And when I was with my psychiatrist, I told them personal stuff, which was painful. And the nurse laughed at me. And then when she laughed, she was a student nurse. When she laughed, I told her, why are you laughing? I asked her, why are you laughing? What is funny? And that's when the psychiatrist, the doctor, told her off and said, no, don't laugh at her. you know. And then maybe also people never wanted to talk about it. People were uncomfortable, even family members. Most of them anyway, they were uncomfortable. They preferred to deal with me as though nothing happened. Actually, some people kept away. But I thank God for those who stayed, because those who stayed supported me along the way. But other people, it's like nothing happened to you. They prefer, I don't know how to put it. Is it denial?
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Listening to you, my blood is boiling. I'm like, how did this happen? Did you like call them out? Anyway, for a parent who is watching this morning and they would want to tell that the first signs or the first 3 signs that they're able to tell that my child is not actually acting up, they could be having the bipolar disorder, what would you tell them?
One of the things, if a child has too much energy levels, which are very high, because when you're getting a crisis, you'll go through a situation of mania, and then there are times when it might be hypomania.
Yes.
Now, when you are manic, you are aggressive, you might speak more rapidly for long, and also sometimes you have a grandiose kind of attitude, you know, self-importance, which is big. Okay, like one of the friends who shared that he wanted to give advice to the president, to Museveni himself. You even go to State House, and Bambi, he was roughed up, but he was having an episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So like that kind of situation, and sometimes the person losing interest in what they are doing, because now if it is like academics, they don't want to know. So as a parent, before you lash out and beat,
Yes.
get to the bottom of it. What is the issue? And actually, some of them, unfortunately, although I didn't do it, but those are some of the signs. Some children do self-harm. So find out, engage. And I know some children are not comfortable speaking to their parents, but a parent can reach out and get a therapist, a counselor. They are child psychologists. They are also psychiatrists who are specialized in dealing with adolescents and children.
This is what I think. In my view, in my capacity, the few times that I have interacted, you know, when we have sessions of mental health, when we have conferences in regard to mental health, I'm a mental health advocate. If your child is not able to talk to you as their first counselor, there is a problem.
Of course.
That means you're either not providing a safe haven for them to talk to, or you're just not being available. Yes?
Yeah.
That means you're not being available. However, what should one do after they're diagnosed with a bipolar disorder?
I think after the diagnosis, because normally it is after the diagnosis, those symptoms are just symptoms. It is you have a deeper issue to deal with.
Yes.
Some people, maybe you're dealing with trauma, childhood trauma. You know, these days, if parents are also not getting along, it causes turbulence for children. If maybe this child is being bullied at school, that is also another issue. And then other times, maybe it's also a teacher who is harassing a child. You know, children normally act out. And when children are even younger, they even will draw what is happening to them. That's what they call the art therapy. Actually, the people who are specialized in helping children heal use art, because that's how you'll know. But like you said, if a child cannot speak to their parent, then that means there is a problem. Sometimes, yes, there is a problem, but also some children are introverts. It's extreme.
Yes.
You will still try as a parent, and the child does not want to talk. So that's when you engage the professionals.
Yes.
Yeah, because yes, you have had your diagnosis, they'll give the child medication, and people react differently to medication. For some people, it might not do them so bad, but then in a season when a child is on medication, there are certain times they will not be able to function at school. There is a season when they might not be able to function. So you as a parent, you have to be ready to give that support. and not push the child too much.
Absolutely.
But of course, you have to be involved in the treatment of the child because the doctor eventually reduces the dosage.
Okay.
So that the child can function at school. Because the truth is, the way they start you off, it knocks you out.
Yeah.
And you sleep longer.
Okay.
So now when you're sleeping longer at school, if the situation hasn't been addressed, you might be beaten for being late for classes.
Constantly.
You see, already you are dealing with a situation, you're on medication. So also the parents have to have a way they connect with the teachers if your child is in boarding school, so that your child has a support system even while at school.
Okay, so as we wrap up this conversation now, like I said in the beginning, every 30th of March we celebrate the International Bipolar Day. As a mental health advocate, do you have any plans in regard to this?
One of the plans that we have is to have a panel discussion. And we are going to do it Uganda, Kenya.
Okay.
It's going to be an online engagement. And the people in Kenya, it is a support group called Stand Up for Mental Health. Then the mental health support group that I am leading is Heart to Heart Chat, the support group. Is the one. So we shall be together and we talk through these issues. Because one of the things that we realize is that after a diagnosis and you're on medication, many people are failing to sustain themselves productively.
Yes.
So how do we create systems that can help people live productive lives?
Okay.
So these are some of the things we are going to highlight and talk about and call to action.
I think it's very important that we definitely do have these conversations soon rather than later. But Angela, any last remarks that you would like to point out as we wrap up the conversation?
As we wrap up, I want to encourage people because I'm a Christian, born again Christian, so I don't want that to be left unsaid. One of the ways we heal is using the word of God, because personally I walked the journey. So by healing, I mean learn to decree the word of God. Get support. Families also need to learn about these issues. Read so that you know how to support your loved ones. I've written that in my own book, My Own Journey. And then also, don't be in a place of self-pity. Reach out to people. Support other people. Yes. Because one thing I have seen through my own experience, by supporting other people, it has actually helped me feel better, heal, live productively.
Okay.
Because your own story is your power. It is your power to help somebody else overcome.
Yes.
And then all the different players, we need that unity to work together because there are different organizations in mental health in Uganda. We just need that kind of support to work together, collaborate together. But I want to see more families involved. I want to see families at the forefront
of this.
Yes, and of course our government, that one I can't fail to say it. Our government has to give priority to mental health.
Absolutely.
Seriously, by the way. And then schools, because we've been talking about children, right?
Yes.
Schools have to introduce mental health support groups in the schools.
Okay.
It has to be part of the system, but the teachers also need to understand, the administration needs to understand what is mental health. What other challenges? How do we support the children? Because post-COVID, we can't pretend that it's business as usual.
Yes.
It's challenging for the teachers, challenging for the children. So how do you support each other so that you have better lives within the school community? So it starts with us.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Angela, for sharing your story and joining us this morning on Sunrise at Sea. I love the fact that Angela highlighted that there is power in sharing your story. First of all, word of advice, do not cover up your pain. If you're going through a situation, reach out to somebody. If it's not your parent, you could reach out to someone that you trust. It could be a friend, it could be a colleague at work. Reach out to someone and talk about what you're going through. The second one is do not cover up your pain. It is okay for you to feel a certain type of way. The question is, are you going to seek help? However, also Angela did write a book in regard to the bipolar disorder, and it's called Breaking Free. And in this book, she details the journey of when she was diagnosed, what she went through, the stigma, how she covered her pain, and how she finally overcame it. Because at the end of the day, there is need for you to know that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. There is a reason as to why you are placed on this earth. I keep telling people, until the Creator says, come and we go, do not try to take your own life, because there is a reason as to why you were created. But again, it goes back to seeking help. But also to the parents, guardians, friends, employers, employees out there, learn to be kind, learn to be tolerant, learn to be patient. No one wakes up one day and they want to feel a certain type of way. No one wakes up one day and they want to be diagnosed with bipolar, depression, anxiety, and all these things. But these things happen. We should be aware of our mental state. It is very important. Well, that wraps up the conversation that we had for you this morning on wellness and lifestyle. Up next is Sandra Kopp, and she has a sit-down discussion on the Twitter jabs. Good morning.